Namo Arihantanam. Namo Siddhanam. Namo Ayariyanam. Namo Vajjayanam. Namo Loe Savasanam. Eso Panch Namokaro Savapav Panasano Mangalananch Savesing Padamam Havai Mangalam Padamam Havai Mangalam Padamam Havai Mangalam. Wonderful. Great. Hello, everyone. Jai Gurudev. How are you?
Hey, Gurudev.
Great. So, okay. Great. So, let me put it into a grid because I can see everybody. Okay. So I woke up yesterday with uh, some news. Guruji's, our SSY Guruji Rishi Prabhakar, who passed away in 2014. Um, his mother was very, very active with SSY. She was also very much part of building up the SSY community and all the ashrams and all that. She passed away on Monday morning. Age was 93, Ramadevi Amma. So very much ahead of her times. She lost her husband at um, a very young age. I think Guruji was only, I think, less than a year old when when he lost his father, and she was very young still. I think not even 20 at that time. So she had the tough job of bringing him up pretty much solo with the help of her parents and so on, and her siblings, some of whom were so small they were about the same age as Guruji. So, those days, the mother and daughter both expecting children together was not very uncommon, and that's how it was. Guruji's mom was expecting, and her mom was also expecting. So, for the longest time, Guruji was saying that he never thought that his aunt was not his sister. He always thought that was his sister, that that we had a common mother. But only when became an adult, he found out that she was his mousy. But so Rama Devi was way ahead. She, in spite of being this single parent and all this condition of that time of society, she took whatever job she could find at the time and became a telephone operator. So for many years, she was a telephone operator, and between work, taking care of the house and making the food and all that, and then taking it as far as getting him through engineering college and sending him to abroad for his masters and all that. I mean, managing all that. And then when he returned to India, when Guruji returned to India, she was pretty much his first disciple and supporter, and she went everywhere with him in all his early days of spreading the SSY knowledge. She was always with him, and the first initiator. She was the first initiator who was initiated to teach meditation and the Siddha Samadhi meditation to others. And to the very end, she was very active with all the activities and leading and being a trustee and so on and so on. So I've had, the pleasure and honor of meeting her many times. She was very fond of all the teachers, of course, because nothing pleased her more than the idea of taking this knowledge forward and living as a parent to the world. So, which is the oath that everyone who has done SSY takes, to live as a parent of the world. And she really exemplified that. She was, a mother to all the teachers, the entire SSY community all across the globe. She was that mother. So, and as we were watching the funeral pyre this morning, uh, they had, we were, of course, virtually because of all the travel restrictions. Most of us were just online watching, and we all retook that oath of living as parents of the world, which is the most befitting Shraddhanjali that one can offer to her, is to be that, is to live that, is to live that understanding and knowledge. So so I want to, some of you have heard of her, know of her, some of you have not done SSY, maybe don't know who I'm speaking about. But the principle that she lived by, of taking care of the whole world and helping to create the ideal world that we all want to, all and we all envision the same thing at the end of the day. We all want a loving, kind, caring universe, and it is, but the one that expresses that as 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 fully as we would want it to. So whether some of you know her, some of you don't know her, but simply as a, uh, from what you have heard from me now, and just based on what her life was like, I just wanted to make that, take that, rededicate ourselves and take that oath together, regardless of whether you know her or not, as a, as an offering of, and it is, and of course, if it is consistent with who you are anyway, who you are is already some, is already that which is the parent to the world, which is wishing to, wanting to, loves to offer love and offer, um, the best to everyone around you, which is what a parent does. So just, in your mind, just close your eyes if you If you wish to take this oath along with me, and say to yourself that from now on, from this moment on, I will live my life as a parent to the world. I live my life as a parent to the world. मैं इस जगत में ये सारी दुनिया का माता पिता बनकर जीऊंगा या जीऊंगी. I am a parent to the world. Great. Thank you. So great. So we met on Saturday. Did we meet on Saturday? Yeah, we met on Saturday. Oh, we met on Saturday for the Discovery Cafe. Right. So the last open door session was on Thursday, where we were talking about ये जो हमें पता है हमें कैसे जीना है उसको हम कैसे हमारे कैसे अनुभव के तौर पे जी सकते हैं. What is behind that. तो पैशन के बारे में हमने बात की थी कि that when you are passionate about something, you're naturally bypassing that that contracted self is automatically bypassed. आपको समय का, जगह का, लोगों का कुछ पता नहीं रहता है और आप बिल्कुल आनंद में ऑटोमेटिकली आ जाते हैं हम. Great, great. So, any questions or any thoughts or any insights or any experiences in the last 4 or 5 days that anyone would like to share? क्या हो रहा है? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up with the world? So, okay, can you repeat it? Can you start from the beginning? Yeah, so go ahead.
So, the COVID situation which we have.
Right,
So, as a person who wants to act like a parent to the world,
right,
what should be the ideal way to tackle or to deal with the situation? Okay, I understand that we have to be and move along and do our best, but is it the right way? Uh, uh,
right. Yeah, yeah. It's a very powerful thought and worth exploring. So, right, we feel helpless. What can we do? The thought comes that there are so many people who are in need of help, and you you would be more than happy if you could to go and physically help them out, support them, feed them, bring them medicine or whatever the need is in that time. Something which all, I guess, what the frontline healthcare folks are already doing. Um, but at the same time, you feel helpless because because you are a um, you may be yourself asymptomatic positive, and you may, who knows what you may end up bringing to somebody that you're trying to help. um, and and the other one is, of course, the possibility of this body catching that virus, yeah, ourselves, and then we are of no use to anyone else, including ourselves. So yeah, yeah, great dilemma and a great question. So what does everyone think? What is the what is the thinking? What What are we supposed to do? What do we do?
Either I can be selfish enough and think that, okay, I am okay, my family is okay, and I should be just bothered about that. But
Right.
as a human being, uh, how right is this?
Correct. Correct. But these days it's getting even worse, right? Even your own family, it's hard to really help somebody if they fall actually ill. You are not in a position, they have isolated themselves, you cannot go and help them. If they get admitted, there's nothing you can do up close and physically for them. So it's not even your own family. Yeah, it's a
And is it a God way of teaching us or telling us something as
yeah,
as human being? Is he trying to tell us something? There's so many questions which come up.
right, right. So so the question and the dilemma actually come from the connectedness, from the oneness that we are. If we were not one, if we were in fact completely separate, unconnected individuals, um, this thought itself would not arise, right? People do what they do, and whatever happens to them. It's completely not your concern, not your part of part of you. So the first thing to notice is that this is an signal to us that hey, you are connected, you are absolutely connected, and at the end of the day we are one at the level of consciousness. So at the level of the individual, the realization is happening more and more, and that we are actually consciousness, that it's not uh, that we are not separate. At that level we are one. So acknowledging that, knowing that, understanding that, deepening that understanding, and awakening that we are one, we are connected, we have compassion, we experience love, experience whatever somebody else is going through is something that affects us at an experiential level. We actually um, feel compassion and the desire to make it better and help and all that. So notice that. I mean, I think that's the first step. Notice that about yourself, that this is a indication or a signal to you that I am not a separate individual. I am part of that. This separate entity that thinks it is a separate, it is only separate at one level. At the level of this physical reality, we are separate, but at the ultimate level, there is no separation. And that somebody else's pain and my pain is no different. It is consciousness experiencing pain, whether it comes through this body or that body or some other way. So so um, so at the individual level, what do? We do whatever we can. I mean, that's the best we can always do, right? I mean, there are the constraints of the reality of this situation, which prevent you from actually going out and physically serving people, either as an organization, either as volunteers, or either as an individual. There are actual real physical constraints. Um, but as the opportunity comes up, as and when the opportunity arises in front of you, whatever you can do, just so like you said, monetary help. I think a lot of the suffering is happening at the monetary level, also at the financial level. But because the world is driven by mostly the people who have wealth. They are the ones who call the shots. I think that if we were looking at this situation from a point of view of how can we minimize the total suffering on the planet or in our country, then maybe our policies would be different. Because the short term and long term suffering that happens in a lockdown, in this social distancing, is felt much more strongly and much more painfully by the economically weaker sections, and in large numbers. I mean, you're talking about, I think I was reading yesterday that the middle class in India has shrunk by almost, I think the number was 15 to 20 million people. Like, so 2 crore people who were above the poverty line or into the middle class have slipped into the poverty line, below the middle class line. And if 2 crore people have gone to that, I mean, where people are wondering, they were able to buy, you know, pizzas and go for ice cream. Now there's like, okay, let's just make sure we get the roti dal chawal. So that's happened to a lot of people. And then you can imagine that a lot more have gone from below middle class to below poverty. So where they are not able to afford basic necessities, basic food, and the survival at that level, at the level of healthcare, at the level of education. School fees are a problem for a lot of people in that level. So if you look at the total suffering, I'm not sure what our policies would be. They may be different. Instead of doing a lockdown, you say, do the best you can. There is no lockdown. If you can afford to stay at home, stay at home. But if you can't afford to stay at home, go out there and do what you need to do. And the same for everyone else. And and yes, there would be a larger cost in terms of health and life and all, but perhaps the total suffering would be less because people are at least making enough money to eat, and they're still living and they're surviving and they're going to school, and their future is somewhat more secure than it is right now. Literally, living hand to mouth. So if for example, there's a statistic about road accidents in India. I think I have to verify the number, but I think they said that in normal conditions, there is like one fatal accident per minute, per 4 minutes or something, like every 4 minutes or every 6 minutes, there is a fatal road accident somewhere in India. So that number, if you multiply, is going to be larger than the number of deaths from COVID. But we never said that because of so many deaths, let's close down the roads, stay at home. Everybody stay at home because too many people are dying from road accidents. Stay at home. We didn't do that. Why? Because the economy, you can't shut down the economy. If you tell everybody to stay at home and say, okay, yeah, you will prevent the road accidents, but lot more people will start dying because they don't have money to earn their living and survive and make food and grow vegetables and all that. So if we don't do that, then are we being a little short-sighted by doing this, or are we being very selfish as a class of educated or so-called wealthy people who can afford to stay at home are the ones who are saying stay at home, um, rather than taking a total uh, picture in mind about what is the total suffering you're causing. But here the suffering is being pushed down the economic scale. So we are protecting the rich and the educated class and not creating suffering there, or trying to minimize and pushing it down to the weaker sections who don't have as much of a voice and as much wealth to really to make the decisions. So So it's an open question. It's an open question. What is the right way to deal with this? And I think that if we look at it from the point of view of total suffering, then why really worry about the COVID people? Okay, fine, they're getting, you can't even do much about them anyway, physically. But what about these guys who are losing their jobs, who don't have money to survive? What can individuals, you and I, because helping them out would not put your yourself at risk necessarily. So those are some of the questions we have to ask ourselves at at the individual level. So there are three levels at which I think we have to understand this whole phenomenon. The first level is at the level of consciousness. At the level of consciousness, all experiences, all events are simply that. There is actually nothing which is preferable, better, or worse. It is just what it is. If you experience, in the moments of pain, in the moments of struggle, perhaps you experience your humanity much more deeply, much more poignantly, much more acutely than you ever would just cruising through life on a luxury yacht, right? So it's those moments of pain, it's the moments of struggle which brings out the best in us in terms of appreciating consciousness, appreciating the divine, appreciating who you really are. We come to terms with that. So so from that perspective, there is nothing preferable about a challenging situation versus another one. There are so many stories. If you read some of the stories in from World War One and World War Two, actually, where soldiers have defined epiphanous moments where they felt one with the universe, one love of God in the trenches, surrounded by death and destruction, and in the most pitiable circumstances. So in those is where the compassion, the humanity, your who you really are comes to the fore. um, so at that level we don't really need to be very consistent with our understanding of oneness. All situations are just that. There are no problems, they are just situations. They can be converted into opportunities for compassion, into opportunities for growth, into opportunities to learn about ourselves, about others. And we welcome each and every situation. Consciousness has no preference that only this is good, that is bad. So even this challenging situation is just what it is. It is wonderful, and it is an opportunity to grow and an opportunity to learn. Whether you suffer from it, you will learn something else. If you help somebody who's suffering from it, you'll learn something else. If you raise these questions, you're learning something else. um, like I got into writing one song about this whole situation. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'll post it on Open Door. Maybe you've seen it, Hum Jeetenge.
Yes.
so that so that song, I mean, I literally spent 2 months just really just composing, creating, because I was so passionate about creating that music. So the pandemic and the whole situation was an opportunity which drew that out from me. So so at that's the understanding at that level, right? And that there is no one else, there is only you, and this is more and more an opportunity to become one with that which you truly are. And whether you choose to express that, so that's at that level. At the level of a collective consciousness, there's a lot of wonderful things that have happened at a collective level. We are all beginning to at least temporarily realize what our true priorities are in life. What is really important to me. So many things that we thought were so important are just not even that important. How many pairs of clothes that have not been touched in the last 1 year because they're just not relevant. And you realize they were not that important. the importance of simple things, simple experiences of smiling, of having joy, enjoying just a breath of fresh air, nothing else, just as simple as that, which we never experience. And this whole earth is breathing a sigh of relief, right? I mean, in terms of less pollution, less less of this bhagdauड़, and this less of all this pomp and show. I mean, why do we have to really, can we not simply celebrate mm, weddings as a union between two souls and bless them? And what is all this, that peripheral stuff that we create around it? um, Not necessary, and we are realizing that at an experiential level. So that's happening at the collective consciousness level, as a collective consciousness of the human race is rising because of this situation. So uh, and whether these lessons will last, how long they will last beyond the end of the pandemic, who knows? But at least we have got a glimpse of it, and a lot of people are understanding this much more. I mean, I was sharing the other day, if I was to conduct a, we conduct retreats at SSY, right? In SSY or in other forums. So you go away for 3 or 4 days, and you're on an inward journey. You're not too concerned about how much food you eat. You're not too concerned about whether you're tired. We go for long walks, we go for a hike into the mountains, and just like go and drink what we find and eat what we can, and are simply in, just in love and enjoy. And now to create that experience, and when people come back, they always, everyone shares how, how beautiful it was, without all the amenities, without the air conditioning, without all the facilities. And yet we had like the most mind-blowing beautiful time. So now if you think of all the retreats that happen in the world, you know every organization, let's say Sadhguru has thousands and thousands of followers, and people who attend his retreats, and there's Shri Shri, and there are others all over the world who are, if you still look at the sum total of people who are engaged and experiencing that freedom, it's a very, very small percentage of the human population. It's maybe 2%. 2% of the people have experienced or are experiencing or will experience. If I was to, Sadhguru himself, with so much popularity and so much media and so much marketing and whatever, is known by maybe a couple of million people, or can gather a couple of million people to have an experience of what life is all about. Okay. So if from that perspective, if I was sharing this with a few of the other teachers, that if we wanted to conduct a global retreat in which people are simply silent, just like in an ashram, we are in silence, we are not running after so many things, we are eating simply, we are living simply, we are learning to appreciate each moment, each breath. And if we wanted to conduct a global retreat, how difficult that would be. Whereas this thing has given that whole experience to everyone on a platter. We are all in that mode of knowing and learning the essence of what is important at a global scale. Every single country in the world, rich, poor, Europe, Africa, Australia, I mean, it's like a gold mine, dynamite, in terms of the opportunity for human race to learn and transform, which if we were doing at the rate of 100 people retreat, 200 people retreat, 2000 people retreat, will take eons. Whereas this is happening on a global scale and on its own, without any trappings of any sort. No cost, no particular one leader who becomes overly powerful and overly suppressive, or who that person herself or himself becomes the focus rather than the knowledge and all that. None of that. There is nobody here. There's this little virus which nobody can see, which is teaching all this to us. So at that level, those are the things. At the individual level, it's just like anything else. Look at who you truly are and respond to that. Let your body, your mind, your talents, your capability, your brains become instruments for aligning with that universal love, universal consciousness, universal compassion, which is who you really are. And specifically what that means, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but it varies. There's no one answer to it. If you're a doctor, it may mean something else. If you're a nurse, it may mean something else. If you are a very wealthy person, it may mean something else. If you are very poor, it may mean something else. So depending on your specific situation at an individual level, you just see what is possible, and continuously align your actions and your thoughts and your feelings, uh, your being with who you really are. And then whatever happens out of that happens out of that. There is no right or wrong. There is no too much, there is no too little. Oh, I'm doing too much or I'm not doing enough. There's no such thing. I mean, what is enough? What can one person do anyway? Even if you spend 24/7, you'll make such a small chink in the whole equation anyway. So it's not about that. It's not about the quantity. It's about that intention. It's about that willingness, and noticing that about yourself and using it to learn more and more about yourself. So
Sanjeev ji,
yeah,
uh, when we say what can one person do,
yeah,
but even that one person doing sets a lot of chains of ripples, which is it's got a ripple effect
yeah,
on the
good point.
positive side.
Absolutely. I'm saying that not from the point of view it's not worth it. I'm saying it from the point of view of beating yourself up, that
Now,
oh,
don't beat yourself.
I'm not doing anything. So don't worry about it. It's not that important. But everything has, unknown amount of ripple effect. You're right. I mean, um somebody was talking the other day about the butterfly effect. I don't know if you guys have heard of the butterfly effect. It's from something called chaos theory, that when a butterfly flaps its wings in China, there's a tsunami in somewhere else. The idea is that over over a long space of time, um, every little thing, if you're going this way and then you decide to go just a 1 degree different, 1 degree this way compared to this line, that 1 degree seems like very, very little. But if that 1 degree continues for days, years, centuries, then by the time, and time is an infinite quantity anyway. So by the time you look way into this 1 degree difference will have created a huge, huge, huge impact. Very true. So the ripple effect is important. And also, it's not about quantity. It's about that one. I don't know if everyone must have heard this story about saving the starfish on the beach. Have you heard this story? Maybe no, everybody hasn't. Okay. So there is sometimes the tide comes in and the starfish come with the water. And if the tide goes back too quickly, then a lot of these starfish can get stranded on the beach, and they'll just dry up and die, because without the wetness and the water in the heat, they cannot survive for very long. So there's this beach, and this person is walking along the beach, and thousands of starfish are just um, stranded and dying. And so he's picking up one at a time and throwing it back into the water, picks up another one, throws it back into the water. And so there's somebody else who's taking a walk on the beach, who's passing him, and says, look, listen, man, there are thousands of these fish, and here you are throwing two, three, five, seven, whatever back. What difference does it make? How can it make any difference whether you do this or not? So he says, you know what? It makes a difference to this one. And he picks up the starfish and throws one back into the ocean. It makes a difference to this one. So yeah, it's never about the quantity anyway. It's never about how much. It's about experiencing that, making a difference. Yeah, I just had the thought today. I mean, all these months, physically, directly, I've not been able to do much except, help, help or bring this to people and bring, awareness and joy wherever I can. But directly, except for, making sure that people that are in my immediate uh, staff and care are all paid, whether they were able to work or not. So, but today I just got my second uh, shot, and I'm like, hey, maybe after a couple of weeks, when there's enough buildup of immunity, if there's a need in the local hospitals for actual physical help, I would not be averse to the idea of finding that out and doing whatever is needed or leveraging that. So
Jai Gurudev.
yeah,
Even the words also can make wonders for these patients. It's my experience
correct.
in Pune. From I'm attached to Rashtra Sevika Samiti,
Okay,
and around 100 ladies in two once in two twice in a month we are chanting Gita for Vishwa Shanti. Gita and
okay.
Gitai, Gita and Gitai, both simultaneously. Sanskrit plus Gitai. One
Gita
slok of
and
Gitai, Ravindranath Tagore,
okay,
Gitai,
Gitanjali.
Gitai, Gitai. It is Vinoba Bhave.
Gitai.
Sorry, Vinoba Bhave. Gitai.
Yeah, Rabindranath Tagore का तो
Sorry,
गीतांजलि
sorry,
था. हाँ,
sorry. Vinoba
हाँ.
Bhave. Ha,
विनोबा
Gitai.
भावे.
So,
Okay,
ha. So, Gita and Gitai, we are chanting past 1 year, and
okay.
it is every Ekadashi day. So it is for Vishwa Shanti, and we are
Right,
doing it. And many ladies and many families, they are like, they are benefited by this. The
right. The
vibrations
ones who are
created
chanting.
by Gita and Gitai, they are useful. And one more thing, Pune, there is one place called Vasudev Nivas where the Bhagavad Katha Pathan and all is going on continuously. So from there, they have shared one this thing, what you call it, shloka, one or two, and they are in those days, in olden days, they are written for any like rucha. So it is like sangaja desha kalotha api sankramika gadaha shamyanti yat smaranato dattatreyan namamitam त्रिविधोत्पातशमनं विविधारिष्टनाशनं यन्नामक्रूरभीतिघ्नं दत्तात्रेयं नमामि तं. So this is in olden days, olden epidemics, it is written and now it is published for all to chant it at home. The vibrations are different. So even if we are not able to do directly or help people, this way we can do in family, share in with the families, relatives, their friends and their friends, like that it is. So the results are wonderful.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. Every thought is a ripple in the universe, and every thought brings many, 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 many changes to the entire. So, but yeah, yeah. So I don't know, Anamika, if this addresses what you are asking, but so somewhat. So so no, I'm asking if this brings any clarity or samadhan to the dilemma. Right. Good, good. Somewhat. Yeah. So correct. We each look, but I think yeah, the it's a valid question to ask ourselves: what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? And sometimes this, the being in that open question of what can I do? How can I help? That itself is a very very powerful way of being in the universe, and consistent with that third step that we talk about here, the third step of Puna Pravesh, living life consistent with who I really am. Because knowing who I am, understanding the qualities of who I am, those are the somewhat easier parts of this process of the direct path that we are talking about here. But the last one, which is living our life in a way which is consistent with that understanding, moment to moment, every moment. That's the challenging part. Beautiful, very nice. So on the issue of on what we were talking about the other day about passion, right? So when you are passionate about something, then automatically or sort of by chance or as a byproduct, you bypass this limited self. Uh, I disappear. That small I disappears, and who you really are, and the direct experience is all that is there. So, how can we make that a more available and more common and more frequent, if not permanent or always, uh, part of our life? So, what do you think? So, when you're passionate, it happens. So, how do we make it happen all the time? If there are things that you're passionate about, then it happens on its own. But the world is divided into very few things that we are passionate about, and 98% of the things we are not passionate about. So, how do we make that 98% also part of this experience of beauty, truth, love, joy? How do we do that? I think Jennifer ji has an answer. So hold
No, I
on,
don't
hold
have
on.
an answer. But
No, but thought.
last
But
time
hold
you
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. I think you do. That's why I want to give others an opportunity to
had.
to
Okay.
think through. Yeah. How do we do that? 2% of things we so remember we made a list of everyone went through and talked about the things that you're passionate about. Everyone said their one two things that they're passionate about, and we all agreed that when, for example, uh, Himanshu, cricket passion was one of his passions. So when you are playing cricket, Himanshu, the body disappears, time disappears, tiredness disappears, food doesn't matter, how hot it is doesn't matter, how cold it is doesn't matter. If you're not in that passionate moment, sitting in the room, little temperature is high, chalo bhai, pankha chalu karo, AC chalu karo, ye karo. But in on that cricket field, the temperature may be 30 degrees, 32 degrees, whatever, and you are running, sweating, whatever, and you don't even care. So that joyfulness, that putting aside this physical structure, not making it so important, and this name, and just being that, how will that happen for the other 90+% of our life, which is what life is made of? We are not always engaged in things we are passionate about. Miraji says no idea. Bolo anyone else? Any thoughts? Ha, Himanshu?
व्हेन आई एम पैशनेट व्हाट आई डू, जो मैं कर रहा हूँ उसको मैं एकदम हैप्पीनेस और पैशनेट के साथ करूँ तो वो पोजीशन उसमें भी आ सकती है। एनीथिंग आई कैन डू, जो भी करना चाहूँ वो मैं मेरे फुल पैशनेट के साथ करूँ कि यार मुझे ये करना है और हैप्पीली करना है। So that doing that things I can change in my.
Great, great. I think, yeah, perfect. It's about why can we not be passionate about anything? What is so great about cricket? After all, if you really think about it, एक लकड़े का टुकड़ा लेके एक इधर गोल को इधर उधर भगाओ भागो उसके पीछे क्या है उसमें? If you think of it one way, and this is how somebody who's not interested in cricket will think about cricket. क्या है इसमें? Same thing with the things you're not interested in. You are thinking, for example, let's say you are not interested. Give me an example of a thing that you're not interested in, Himanshu. A field that you don't care about. Don't उसमें कुछ interest ही नहीं है.
Acting.
Acting में interest नहीं है. हाँ? Interest है कि नहीं है?
नहीं है.
नहीं है. Acting क्या ये नाटक करते हैं इधर उधर स्टेज पे या बड़ी इतना बड़ा हीरो बन के घूमते हैं क्या इसमें कुछ नहीं है. Right?
Yes.
That is what you feel. Now, if you ask a person who is passionate about acting, they will tell you 1,000 things why acting is such a wonderful experience. So, um, so I have done some acting in my life also. I was with the Banjara theater group where we did plays and traveled all over as in on stage. So I'll tell you it is one of the easiest and the most beautiful way to bypass this self is acting. You just become something else, somebody else, and that no that other self simply shows up, and it's a beautiful opportunity to keep on dropping this idea of मैं ये हूँ मैं वो हूँ. So 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 if you but let's choose an example of something that you have to do. You are not doing any acting right now in your life, right? But things that you are doing anyway, even though you're not interested in doing them. Give me an example of that. हाँ मीरा says IT में बिल्कुल इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. IT ना क्या it computers IT.
इंटरेस्ट नहीं है.
हाँ
कुकिंग
No,
में
no, I meant by he was my son was a TV serial actor, and I know how passionate he was about it.
okay
I'm
right
going with your sync. Yeah.
right and it was so enjoyable and
Yeah, so he
completely
was right. So I completely agree with you with that point.
right हाँ.
Mm.
But I'm talking about things. Okay, acting तो तुम्हें कोई जबरदस्ती तो acting नहीं करवा रहा है
No,
हिमांशु,
right.
but so take an example of something that you do or activity that you're in which you are not passionate about but you do it anyway.
Hmm.
Acting doesn't fall in that example.
Hmm.
तो वैसा example है किसी के पास, हिमांशु or anyone? Okay, before that, Jennifer ji, what were you going to say about how do we experience joy and bypass this little self even in the 90% of the life which we are not passionate?
So it's my experience I'm talking
Yeah.
that when we have experience or come closer to death in life,
Hmm.
then you want to live every moment to the fullest.
Correct.
And then the second thing which I constantly remember is what you say is remember the eye, big eye.
Remember the big eye.
Yeah, remember the big eye. So even if I, sort of respond in the small eye way a little, I sort of try and catch myself and remember the big eye. And immediately I sort of backtrack and sort of reverse whatever and make it a better experience, a fuller experience.
Correct.
Yeah. So that is what I do. So these are the two things. And also with, I know what you say is that there's no compulsion to do any meditation and all that. But if it is helping you and if you feel like doing it, do it. So all the things together, what we are doing means what I am doing. And so it sort of helps for a very positive response all the time. Like, for example, I have been very scared of animals all the time in my life. Should I share that
Sure.
experience?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm not an animal person. Everybody loves animals, but I am not an animal person. I can get scared of a cat, a dog, anybody. But the other day I had gone to collect some flowers, and it was not very bright in the morning. It was pretty dark still. The sun had not risen. And I was collecting the flowers which had just fallen down. I was not plucking them. And suddenly I saw in the corner a cat was crouched like that, looking at me. And normally I would get scared or I would jump or something, but that because of all these things which we are doing all the time and listening to you and all that, my response was, "Oh, hello, good morning. I see the great eye in you too." I said to the cat. It was the same time when Sonal had posted the snake bit in
Right.
the chat. It was the very same day this had happened to me also, you know. So I
Correct.
said, "Oh
Correct.
God, good morning." I said, "Wow, I see the great eye in you too. How are you?" And I started like chatting with the cat, and cat was also looking at me like that. I was not scared at all, and I was not scared of the cat. It was like a very serene moment and very natural and flowed naturally. I mean, there was no struggle to it, which would normally be a struggle. So I suppose everything is helping.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Right. But on this particular topic about being passionate about something, right? What Himanshu said, कि आप उस जो भी है उसको दिल से करेंगे,
Yes.
then I challenge you to find anything that you do in your life which take your mind to the thing that you hate to do the most. Like maybe for some people it may be organizing your desk or organizing your closet or cleaning the house, or it may be whatever it is. You pick your least favorite thing in your life that you are often forced to do, or you force yourself to do it. Now, okay, let's do this experiment. Okay, let's take this example of whatever your example is. Keep your example in front of you. This I don't like to do or spend time in, but for some reason you are forced to do it, whether it's filing taxes, doing accounts, cleaning the closet, whatever it is. Take your pick of your most least passionate. वो दिन हम most passionate पे गए थे, आज हम least passionate. Take the thing that you're least passionate about. Now close your eyes and imagine yourself engaging in this least passionate activity. So imagine you are in the middle of it and you are not wanting to do it, you're not enjoying it, uh, you are very much present. All your likes, your dislikes, this temporary self called you is very much present in that moment. Now imagine that you actually start to take an interest in whatever that is. Pretend to be interested for a minute in what it is, and see how you can find out in that moment more and more about whatever that activity is. So let's say it's about organizing your closet, and you you genuinely feel interested in the details of it, in how organized or beautiful it can be. What are the benefits of it? What is, let's say arranging this closet in a color coded way or a utility coded way, and you get into it. What are, oh, so many different colors. Wow, how many different colors of t-shirts I have. And let me arrange it in that color spectrum kind of a way. And wow, these are things that I don't really use and need anymore. I can really give it to somebody. And so think about becoming interested in that activity, finding and you put your heart and mind and your dil se now, dil se आप अभी कर रहे जो भी कर रहे थे, and notice कि उस आपके अनुभव में, in your experience, you will notice that there is some shift that takes place in your relationship to this particular activity. झाड़ू भी लगा रहे तो अरे चलो ये छोटे से छोटे कोने से भी कचरा निकालते हैं, चल इधर आ, थोड़ा इधर ये झाड़ू को इधर लगाओ, यहाँ भी लगाओ, या अरे सब ये रह गया, ये रह गया, उसको चलो ये भी ले लिया. Now this activity of just sweeping the floor can become interesting, because now you are in it, you have become present. And when you are present, when you are present, and the small I with its likes and dislikes and preferences, and the craving and aversion, oh I don't like dirt, and I all that chatter is silenced and quiet, and you become present, and you and that activity is all there is. Notice that there is a shift. Notice that it is now looking more and more the experience of how you feel when you are in the middle of your most favorite activity, or your passionate activity, or a natural passion. Remind yourself that there is no subject in the world which is in itself not interesting. Everything is wonderful. It is only, the only question is, are you full of wonder? If you are full of wonder, then everything is wonderful. There is nothing which is not wonderful. Every moment of time, every experience, every person, every object is full of wonder when you are full of wonder. Great. So slowly open your eyes. और अभी लगा कि थोड़ा सा शिफ्ट, जो भी ये लीस्ट फेवरेट एक्टिविटी था उसमें थोड़ा सा शिफ्ट आना पॉसिबल लगा कि नहीं लगा? यस,
Yes.
यस. हाँ, सो दैट थोड़ा सा शिफ्ट को और आगे आगे ले जाएंगे, देन एवरी एक्टिविटी, एनीथिंग यू डू कैन बिकम equally interesting, equally joyful, equally a source of passion. दिल से, दिल से जब आप करते हो, participating in whatever there is, then there is nothing which is not worthy of your passion. Everything is worthy of your passion. Everything. And when you are living like that everything is worthy of my passion, there is nothing that is not, then your entire experience of life can be on a different scale, different mode, different track. You are on the highway now, cruising at full speed instead of getting stuck at every little. अरे अभी ये करना पड़ेगा, अच्छा अभी ये करना पड़ेगा, अच्छा कब मैं वो करूंगी जो मुझे पसंद है, कब मैं वो करूंगी, when will I do that, when will I play cricket, when will I do music? No, whatever you're doing, just get in it, get into it, get into it, dil se, no matter what. And you will find yourself that when you get into it, it is worth getting into. There's nothing. You take any subject. Like this is what we do on Discovery Cafe, right? On the few Saturdays that we do Discovery Cafe. कोई भी subject लेके हम उसमें डूब जाते हैं. Numbers. A lot of people may have heard, oh, that Saturday is about numbers. Hate numbers. I hate arithmetic. I hate multiplication. I hate math. And a lot of people, I'm sure, didn't come because of that. A lot of people came. There were nearly 45, 50 people at one point. But I'm sure there are like 200 people who have read that message, and a lot of them, math, baap re, maro goli, kaun dimag ka chutney karega. And then of course for some people math is a passion, but I don't, I think I we posted, yeah, we posted the discovery session. So even if you didn't attend, and if you're not into math and numbers are the last thing on your favorite list, go listen to that. Especially if you're not into numbers, go listen to it, and you will find that it is interesting. It was wonderful. It was fantastic. And and fortunately this understanding just came to me just being with Guruji also a lot of times. You know, we used one thing I don't enjoy is cooking. Or at least I didn't used to enjoy is cooking. And I lived in the US for so many years, and somehow or the other when I had roommates and it was my turn to cook, everyone would be in tension because I would do it at the last minute and the least possible. And that also and the jo bhi haath mein aaya bana diya, phek ke chalo bhago. And so that was my condition with cooking. Also cleaning dishes, I hate cleaning. I used to hate cleaning dishes. So the rule in our apartment was whoever takes the last scoop of whatever it is has to clean that bartan. We were like 4 or 5 guys living, sharing one apartment in New York. So that was the rule of the house कि जिसने भी last spoon लिया वो बर्तन साफ करेगा. तो मैं कभी लास्ट स्पून लेता ही नहीं. मैं भूखा मर जाऊंगा लेकिन लास्ट स्पून नहीं लेगा. और यू नो अदर ट्रिक वुड बी कि थोड़ा वो लास्ट स्पून में से भी थोड़ा सा छोड़ देने का उसमें. बोला वो अरे बर्तन नहीं किया संजीव, नहीं नहीं है थोड़ा सा उसमें. But Guruji, I stayed with, he also, you know, he was we stayed together and spent many days together. So when he makes food, it is like an adventure. He The way he chops salad, it is like an art. And he doesn't mind spending any amount of time to make that salad look beautiful. When he cuts beetroot, every piece is like the same size as the other. No machine, nothing. All small. They call it julienne, I think. But each piece is exact same. And I would just watch him patiently cutting. And I started joining him in doing that. And I was able to get into it and enjoy that. Wow, the colors of beetroot, all the, you know, the different textures, the different shapes, and the different tastes also became so much more interesting when I had spent so much time and energy in making that salad. So that was kind of an eye opener for me, because naturally I'm interested in so many things, but even the ones that I was not interested in naturally, I found that when I went into it, I could get into it. Now when I make something, the whole family looks forward to it, because when I get into the kitchen, man, it's like super stuff. I will only make fantastic, like stir fried vegetables. I mean, I make the best stir fried vegetables. One of these retreats when we are all together in one place, we will get into that. So same thing with desserts. I mean, I can make like amazing desserts. Mira is into cooking also. So yeah, but the whole point I'm saying is that it's not naturally something I like to do. But the minute I started getting into it, the whole thing changed. So that's just what I wanted to share with everyone about being passionate. There's nothing. You know, you're driving your car, you can get, अरे बोरिंग जर्नी है, अभी 1.5 घंटे का ट्रैफिक में बैठेंगे. अरे वॉच ऑल दोस कार्स, वॉच ऑल दोस कलर्स, सो मेनी डिफरेंट पीपल ऑल अराउंड. किसको जल्दी है, किसको कोई फोन पे है, कोई ऐसे है, कोई, यू नो, it's all a game, it's all a carnival. मेला, मेला है पूरा. Meet life fresh all the time. Exactly, exactly. And get into it, dil se, passionate.
So
So
today's title is
with that thought, what will be today's title?
Everything Worthy of My Passion. You said in one line, everything is
Yeah,
worthy of my passion. Oh,
everything is worthy of passion. Everything is worthy of passion. That's
everything
good.
is worthy of passion is
Yeah,
the title.
yeah,
I
yeah.
posted to Avinash.
Yes, yes, please.
Okay,
Great.
not my passion. Everything is worthy of passion. That's
Passion,
it.
passion.
Okay, fine. We can conclude now.
Yeah, 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 of passion. Okay, great. Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
May all beings find themselves in all situations. May all beings find the ability to unveil and reveal their true self in every situation and experience this joy of life. हर पल हर क्षण में दिव्य अनुभव पाए सभी. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम तत्सत.